Alright, welcome. So, how to train form. This video is specifically about developing technique. So that's whether you're in the gym, right? Whether you're doing calisthenics, or if you're training for a sport, right? So it doesn't matter what exactly you're training, right? But technique is the most important piece of fitness, period, hands down, right? So quickly, I'm just going to talk about how to actually train, how to develop your form and your technique so that you can be preventing injury and making the most potential progress, right? So quickly, before we start this video, you can go and click the link in the description. It will bring you to my free Skool community. And when you join, you can access my Fundamentals of Fitness course, my entire Fundamentals of Fitness course for free, right? And this is a full in-depth course on how to get into a fitness routine, how to create a fitness routine, and I also cover all of the all of the different styles of training, right? And then all of the different recovery methods that you can use as well. So it's a very in-depth course and a very useful course for anybody in fitness, right? But this video is just going to cover how to actually train, how to develop your form and your technique. So when we get into the gym, when we get into calisthenics, when we get into a sport, when we're training, right? Technique is the key. But how do we actually train technique? How do we develop technique, right? And it is the process of slowly and steadily increasing the weight, right? Starting from a low weight where it's comfortable, where it's easy, and then slowly but surely increasing that weight over time, right? And so we want to start with a weight that is comfortable, which this seems odd when we're talking about fitness. You want to start with something comfortable because fitness is the art of discomfort, right? But we want to have a comfortable weight so that we can actually focus on our technique and our form first. Still a weight that will cause somewhat of a challenge for us, but not enough for it to be heavy, not enough for it to be difficult to lift, because the real key here is actually developing your technique and your form, right? So instead of trying to lift the heaviest weight, we want to actually lift whatever weight we're lifting in the best possible way, which is a very different way of looking at it, right? So you want to basically start off easy. You want to start off slow. You want to start off light, right? You don't want to jump right into the heavy weights. Even if you can lift them, right? Even if you can do it, right? Like I can lift heavier weight, but sometimes let's say I go a period of time without going to the gym, sometimes I choose to decrease the weight just so that I can optimize for form and technique, because getting back into the rhythm of it, getting back into the flow of good form and good technique and that workout routine is going to be key. Instead of starting right off with the heavier weights, let's start off with a weight that is easy enough for us to practice with and practice that form and develop that form, but then we can start to eventually increase it, right? Eventually, once we get into the flow of it, once we've warmed up, right, we can actually start to increase the weight and we can start to lift heavier weight, but now with better form because we've practiced technique first, right? So once you have developed your technique, let's say you spend 2, 3, 4 weeks, right, just focusing on technique and form. Now it's time to increase the weight. And you can do it one of two ways. You can do it in small increments, where you increase in small increments, or for most beginners, or for somebody who's maybe taking a break from the gym, if you are getting back into your technique, right? Now, what you could do is actually push yourself. So with perfect form, see what the heaviest weight you can lift is, right? Find your 1 rep max with that perfect form, right? And so that might be a couple big jumps in weight, but then once you find that good weight, that heavy weight, that comfortable weight, not necessarily comfortable, but that difficult weight, but one that is still good enough for you to be able to lift it, right? And lift it with good form. Now you can start to work with that and then start to slowly increase that over time, right? So you work with that weight that's difficult for you right now, and you work with it long enough to eventually increase it over time. And so when it comes to success in the gym, when it comes to success in a sport, when it comes to success in calisthenics, right? No matter what form of fitness we're doing, when it comes to actually achieving success in that field, right? The key is going to actually be your form, your technique. Because when you have good technique, when you have good form, you can grow exponentially. You can continuously grow, right? You will always have room for growth, room for that next big push, next big jump, right? So another thing that you can do if you are a beginner specifically, right, is you can start off with body weight. So instead of actually going into the gym and starting off in the gym, right, you can start with your body weight, right? So this means push-ups, pull-ups, and squats. But if you are really a beginner, right, you can actually start with what I call progression versions of these same exercises. So the progression exercise for push-ups, for example, would be knee push-ups, or even you could do push-ups against like a table or a counter, right? And this will do the exact same thing, except it'll be a lot easier than even the knee push-ups, right? So it will develop your form and your technique for a regular push-up, but without all of the weight of your entire body, right? If you aren't strong enough for that yet, you can start with these progression versions in order to build that strength, right? So what I would do if you're starting off with body weight is I would split it just like you do with the gym, right? This is what I did. I split it just like I did with the gym. So I'd hit chest, I'd hit push, which is chest, triceps, and shoulders. I would hit legs, which is all of my leg muscles all together. I would hit pull, which is biceps and back. And then I would do abs on its own, and I would do abs with some form of cardio usually, right? But so if you can't quite do regular push-ups yet, what you can actually do instead is you can start with knee push-ups, or like I said, the other ones. If you can't do pull-ups yet, you can jump to the top of the bar, and you can resist the weight on the way down. Or if that's too hard, you can also get a chair and use a chair to jump to the top of the bar and then resist the weight on the way down, just like I said. So these are the beginner versions, and I forgot to mention the squat. So the squat, you can squat if you have like a chair or a couch that is around knee height. You can squat down to where you're just touching it, not quite sitting on it, but just touching it, and then get back up. And this will help you to develop your form, like I said, but it will take the stress off from like having your entire body weight on you, because you can release some of that stress using the couch, using the chair, whatever it is, right? So when you do your split, so I did push, pull, legs, and then abs, just like I do at the gym, right? You can do a variety of different body weight workouts or body weight exercises, right? And you can go and you can look at my Fundamentals of Fitness course, because I actually give away a lot of different exercises that you can use both for when you're in the gym and when you're getting into the gym. And I also have body weight exercises that you can do as well, and I'll have all the progression versions of that with those body weight exercises. So if you do a variety of, let's say you do pull one day, if you do a variety of back exercises and pull-ups, right, and whatever progression pull-up you're on, right, you do a variety of these, you have a perfect workout right at home that you can do right at home that will actually help you to develop your technique and your form before you get into the gym. And that's key, is you do this for I did this for about a year. I took a break from the gym specifically to do this, to develop my form and to develop my foundation of strength, right? So I took a break from the gym for this, but before you get into the gym, it might be good to take like 6 months and just focus on this, or a year and just focus on this, right? And then when you get into the gym, you'll already have a foundation of strength that you can work with to develop good form and good technique, and then eventually lift heavier and heavier weight, right? So as you start to progress, so let's say you start with one of the progression versions of a push-up, right? As you start to progress, so as that gets easier, right? Let's say you start off at about 5 reps. 5 reps is hard. Once you're getting up to about 10, 15, even 20 reps, and that feels easier, then maybe move on to the knee push-ups if you're doing them against the table. And then from knee push-ups to regular push-ups. And then from regular push-ups to decline push-ups. So you put your feet on a somewhat elevated surface, not by much. I do like half a foot probably, on somewhat of an elevated surface, and then that will cause you to be pushing not only more weight, but it will also work more of your upper chest than a regular push-up will. So you can start to move into more advanced stuff, and if you're really getting into it, you could do one-arm push-ups, or you could put weight vests on and do push-ups with that, right? And the same applies to pull-ups as well. So then once you have developed this form and you've developed this technique, you have a foundation and a good foundation. Now it's time to bring it into the gym. And when you bring it into the gym, like I mentioned earlier, start off at a comfortable weight, right? Do not start off at the heaviest weight you can lift. Even if you can do it, start off at a comfortable weight so you can work on form and technique for a little bit before you increase the weight. And so what does good form actually look like? What does good technique actually look like, right? So for me, I always say it's steady. It's very steady. There's no shaking. You don't want to be like, you don't want to be lifting a weight and you can see that you are shaking and you are really struggling with that weight, right? It's okay to struggle. It's okay to it's okay to lose steadiness a little bit. It's okay to like shake a little bit, right? But if you are lifting the weight and your arms are literally trembling, right? You're lifting too heavy of a weight, right? And you're not going to get a good lift with that weight because you won't have good technique or form, and the weight is too heavy for you anyways, so you're utilizing more of other muscles that aren't really meant to be used for that exercise just to get it up or to pull it in or to whatever, right? Squat it, lift it, whatever, right? So you want it to be steady, right? You want it to be very controlled, right? You want to be engaging your core at all times when you are lifting specifically for a technique. You want to be engaging your core, right? If you aren't engaging your core, you're actually going to be straining your core, right? You're going to be straining your back with a lot of exercises. You'll be straining your back, and at the very least, you'll be straining your core, right? And you will be overworking the muscles involved as well. So you want to make sure that you tighten your core so that you have a center of gravity and a center of control, and that way your muscles can be optimized to be able to lift, right? Because they're all working together in unison instead of it being a separate unit, right? If the core is what brings the entire body together in one piece, and so that centered energy will allow you to actually increase your form over time, or increase your weight over time rather, and you get better and get higher and higher weight over time. And then so make sure you are using the right muscles, right? Make sure you're engaging the right muscles, right? If you are feeling it in the wrong muscles, that means you have improper technique and improper form. So when you are doing a chest exercise, you should feel it in your chest and your triceps and maybe your shoulders a bit, right? If you are doing a pull exercise, you should be feeling it in your biceps. You should be feeling it in your back, right? You should not be feeling your biceps, right? Your biceps being strained in a chest exercise, obviously, right? That doesn't make sense. But let's say you are doing abs and you feel your back is strained, right? That means you don't have proper technique, right? So that's all I have for you guys. That's this video for today. And if you haven't already, make sure you go and check out that link in the description to join my free Skool community. But other than that, that's it from me. Peace.